The Modern Warfare 2 campaign is finally here to all of those that pre-ordered the digital edition of the game, and today I wanted to fully explain what this campaign was all about, the storyline, the characters, future story progressions, and more. If you've already played through the campaign or parts of it, do let me know your initial thoughts down below. How does it differ from that of Modern Warfare 2019, and has the story taken that step up that we were all expecting? It would be really appreciated if you could consider leaving a like on today's video and consider subscribing to the channel as well for plenty more Modern Warfare 2 content coming your way. But without wasting any more time, let's dive straight in. So before we jump into today's explanation, I know that a lot of you guys watching this video haven't played the Modern Warfare 2019 campaign in a while or at all. So I'm going to spend around 60 seconds of your time right now telling you guys the plot of that game and what happened. If you're not bothered about this recap, then you can just skip using the timestamps down below, or if you do want to see a full in-depth breakdown of the story, check the annotations on the screen right now, or the link in the description just below the like button. So, there were four main factions in Modern Warfare 2019. We had the Al-Qatala terrorist organisation, which was led by the Wolf and the Butcher, the Urzikstan freedom fighters led by Farah, Kareem and Hadir. We also had the good guys, aka Alex, Price, Gaz, Laswell, Norris and Nikolai. We then had the Russian bad guy, Barkov. Barkov took over Urzikstan, covering it in his chlorine-based glass to try and remove the terrorist organisation threat, the Al-Qatala. Barkov's army killed Farah and Hadir's dad and captured them both at young. Both had a personal hatred and vendetta against Barkov and wanted him dead, and Russia out of Urzikstan. The Al-Qatala and also Farah's camp were not intertwined. Farah did not agree with the Al-Qatala and thought of them as terrorists along with Russia as well. However, in order for Hadir to try and get back at Barkov and to kill him and take out the Russian army and remove them from Urzikstan, he teamed up with the Al-Qatala, aka the Wolf and the Butcher, to steal this chlorine-based gas and kill Barkov and get Russia out of Urzikstan. However, in doing this, he betrayed Farah and also betrayed us, the US military, and didn't tell us about this and went behind our backs. Eventually, we found Hadir and we traded him for some intel on Barkov's location from a group of Russians. This was potentially the Zakhaevs, but we don't really know. We find, kill and destroy the Russian gas plant. However, Hadir at this point is still alive and with the Russian army. The Zakhaevs died in the Warzone story, and the new leader of the Al-Qatala is called Al-Assad, who escaped Verdansk towards the end of the Warzone storyline. I hope you guys got all of that and it made a bit of sense. As I mentioned, if you want a full breakdown, check the link below the like button. But for now, on to Modern Warfare 2. So, to begin with, let's just lay the law around who is a part of what faction, just so everyone is aware going into this and there's no confusion. So, starting off with the US Army and their informatives. So we have the likes of Price, Gaz, Soap, Ghost, Laswell, General Shepard, Nikolai, Alejandro, Rodolfo, and Farah Kareem. A part of Shadow Team, we have the likes of Graves, and a part of the Al-Qatala in this game, we have the likes of General Gabrani and his second in command, Hassan Ziani. Now, it's important to know that Russia are mentioned throughout this game. However, there's no particular leader or person or figurehead for Russia within this game, and potentially we'll see that in DLC coming in the future. But with all this in mind, let's dive straight in. The first mission of Modern Warfare 2 has us land in a place called Al-Mazrah, whereby we take control of Ghost. Ghost was tasked by General Shepard and Laswell to stake out this location due to a high-value target being present. That is General Gabrani. General Gabrani was the leader of the Al-Qatala at this time. Gabrani was meeting with the Russian army in what looked like some form of arms deal. Now, Graves, who is the head of Shadow Team, Shepard and Laswell all approved the go-ahead to utilise missiles to disrupt this arms deal between Russia and the Al-Qatala. We seek out the location, control the missile and direct it smack bang in the centre of the cargo and hitting this arms deal completely, destroying everything in the process and killing General Gabrani. We then fast forward a few months later into the future, whereby Laswell and Shepard have a meeting to discuss the retaliation on the back of the death of General Gabrani from the missile strike that we coordinated in Al-Mazrah. With General Gabrani being dead, his second in command, Hassan Ziani, has taken up the mantle within Iran. He's planning something really big in retaliation against the US for killing Iran's leader, essentially. However, at this time, we don't know what that is. Intel suggests that Hassan Ziani has just landed in Al-Mazrah, and the General Shepard wants us to find out exactly what he's planning and to find him ASAP. We assemble a team with the likes of Ghost and Soap leading the forces. We're looking for Hassan, and under no circumstances must we kill him. We need him alive, and we need his intel. The team drops at the LZ and pushes forward to 3 main houses according to our intel. However, no Hassan. If Hassan's gone and left this location, why are there so many men protecting these houses or structures in particular? We are notified that there are many troops gathering at a warehouse that is just located nearby, and this wasn't a part of the intel we were given for this mission. We infiltrate and clear the enemies inside this warehouse and find something extremely unexpected within. It becomes apparent that Iran, led by Hassan, are somehow in possession of United States ballistic missiles. Knowing this intel, General Shepard and Laswell meet and discuss what the hell is going on here. Both of them conclude that there must be some form of whistleblower within the US military, and we need to know who and where. However, Shepard commands Ghost to destroy those missiles in order to prevent Iran from retaining them. Although, before doing this, Laswell figured out a link as to where the whistleblower might have came from: Amsterdam. The ports and canals there are insecure, meaning that potentially anything can go in or out without it really paying much attention, going over any borders and things along those lines. So it is a prime place for smuggling things in and out. And Laswell mentions and knows for sure that Iran has friends there within that smuggling hub, so potentially this is where the missile came from. This right now is the only logical explanation as to how Iran could have come to know and or got their hands on these missiles. So Laswell calls on some old friends and foes to make their way to Amsterdam and investigate: Captain Price and Gaz. Price and Gaz both take position and slowly move up towards the dock, taking out any Al-Qatala forces covertly on their way. They eventually board a barge docked near the water. However, when they enter the barge, it was not Al-Qatala forces that we find inside. It was in fact the Mexican drug cartel, Las Almas. Hassan seems to be using the Mexican drug cartel for something in particular. Is it security? What could it be? Laswell decides to make her way to Amsterdam with Price and Gaz to ensure things are done properly, and this is the first time Laswell is actually on missions with us. Really cool touch there. Price, Gaz and Laswell are on the ground in Amsterdam trying to figure out what is going on here. We find that the Mexican drug cartel are all over the streets of Amsterdam. This is due to there being a meeting between the cartel happening in one of the cafes, and Price is there eavesdropping into their conversation. Captain Price finds out that the Las Almas, aka the Mexican drug cartel, are looking to move a package in the next coming days. This package isn't something, but it's someone. Price continues to eavesdrop on this conversation, and he overhears him say that the VIP in question is Major Hassan Ziani, and he's bound for the US. This means that Hassan is currently situated in Mexico, ready for the cartel to smuggle him to the US. We cause a distraction in the middle of Amsterdam, take the cartel leader with us, and just find out more around what he knows. After Laswell brings out her cool side, she contacts a Spanish informative, Alejandro. Alejandro is situated in Mexico and works closely with Laswell as and when is needed. He's tasked with ensuring that Hassan does not cross the border and move into the US or move towards the Mexican drug cartel to be smuggled into the US. Alejandro and his partner, Rodolfo, push to the shoreline and move on land to the location where they were briefed that Hassan would be. When they get there, they find that Hassan is already climbing the border and running off into Mexico. Us and Alejandro push over the border and track him down. We sweep all nearby houses to rid any Mexican forces within. We enter the final building where Hassan pushed into, and there he was in the final room. However, he overpowered Rodolfo and got the better of him, setting a light to the house and completely setting it on fire, wanting Rodolfo to burn just like the previous leader of Iran, General Ghabrani, did at the beginning of the game. Luckily, Alejandro saved Rodolfo towards the end, but valuable intel was found during this time. We learned that Hassan was using a ship to move large cargo towards the US across the ocean. What that was, we didn't know at that time. Laswell believes that the cargo ship could contain more of those missiles we found earlier. How many though? We just don't know, but Hassan could be targeting these missiles towards the US to seek revenge for killing Ghabrani. The next mission shows Soap and Ghost link up with Rodolfo and Alejandro in Las Almas. We learn throughout this time that Las Almas has very limited loyalty to law and that most are paid off by the drug cartel, We see people holding guns, even kids in some places. In this scene we start to learn more around the cartel as well. They use the likes of just general generosity to win over the likes of children and the younger generations, so they can grow up to be more willing to be a part of the cartel and even go to the extent of working for them when they become of age. With anyone stepping out of line, they're shot, killed and displayed across the city for all to see. Bodies covered in white sheets and writing all over them, known as narcomantis to the locals. The cartel cloths are completely littered with messages from the likes of El Sin Nombre, the nameless and the faceless leader of the cartel. Intel suggests that Hassan is being held up within a white two-story building at the back of town. The squad push forward, however, no Hassan. The Mexican Special Forces begin to push forward to our position and surround the house we're situated in with full riot gear and body armour. Alejandro advises that we engage against these, however, Soap and Ghost were at first very wary of this command. Alejandro affirms that the Mexican cartel actually have a large portion of the military on their payroll, and these men are only here to protect Hassan and are not sent by the government. We push forward and traverse our way down the mountains within Mexico, diving off the edge of a cliff into a lake to escape the Mexican army behind us. Graves and Shadow Team save our asses by taking out a couple of armoured vehicles on a bridge directly in front of us as we're floating down a river. We find out that Hassan is situated around 2 clicks north of our current location, so we take an extraction vehicle and make our way there. In this next mission we take control of an AC-130, you just gotta love it, it's just so good. I really loved this mission, it was really fun. But we're tasked with finding Hassan's location by raining down fire on the armed guards within this farmyard. Within this entire mission, it is just absolutely obliterating buildings with the cannons on this AC-130, it is the sickest thing. We infiltrate the manor house at the end, have a positive ID on Hassan, Alejandro, Soap and Ghost, capture Hassan, and we exfil. Hours later in the pitch black in the middle of nowhere, with Hassan being broadcasted to the likes of Shepard and Laswell, Graves begins to interrogate Hassan. Where did he and the Al-Qatala get these American missiles from? And where are they going and where are they targeting? However, taking Hassan prisoner is a war crime in Las Almas, and holding a hostage is illegal, even for the military, and could do more damage than good. Theoretically, Hassan has done nothing wrong within Mexico. There is no reason to take him into custody, there is no reason to arrest him, so what we're doing is in fact a war crime. We try to get Hassan to spill the beans on where these missiles are, where they're going and where he's targeting, but of course as you'd expect, we got nothing. So we had no other choice but to let Hassan go. However, we did get a hit from Hassan's phone. The signal was tracked to hit a cell tower somewhere within Spain, where he was communicating with someone about something, we don't know the details. We dove deeper into the signal and found that it located a hatchery in which the cartel used to smuggle drugs in and out of the country. There are 4 main structures within this hatchery that we need to go and infiltrate along with a single lighthouse. We were tasked with infiltrating it and confirming if the missiles were there or not. Price, Gaz and Laswell push to this location to find out more. Gaz and Price remain on ground whilst Laswell remains within the boat. We stake out the area and a truck with a cargo container passes by. We follow the truck in a stealthy manner. This mission reminds me so much of All Gillied Up from COD 4 and I just love it. Such a good throwback, but instead of Macmillan being the lead and Price being the rookie, it's essentially roles flipped and Price is now the leader and Gaz is like the rookie. Chills, literal chills. We infiltrate the first warehouse and find a container with a shitload of drugs. Potentially that was the container we seen on the truck at the beginning of the mission. We infiltrate the second warehouse, but no container. However, we do find schematics showing a series of tunnels under our position, under the lighthouse in particular. We push onto the final structure and find a multitude of different wooden crates. Why are these crates in particular so important? All of these crates came directly from Russia. It looks like Iran are working very closely with Russia even after the death of General Ghabrani. This is getting much bigger now. However, in the midst of this, Laswell's boat is infiltrated by a series of Al-Qatala forces, and she's taken hostage. The Al-Qatala record and show a video of them with Laswell heading towards Urzikstan, then eventually Al-Mazrah, to what we imagine would be Hassan and the cartel. Shepard doesn't want Price and Gaz to proceed with saving Laswell and advises against this and wants us to carry on with the mission at hand. But John and Gaz have no other choice and they just don't accept this. Shepard essentially says to Price that he can do whatever he wants as long as he doesn't get killed, and this is exactly what they go ahead and do. We're picked up on an extraction chopper by no other than Nikolai, and this is where the rescue mission begins. The Al-Qatala forces move towards Urzikstan, where we meet Farah Karim again. Price assembled a team to rescue Laswell from the Al-Qatala's captivity. This is such a sick throwback to Urzikstan as well, and fighting alongside Farah again, love it. We regroup with Captain Price and Farah and push forward to Laswell's position and retrieve her safely towards the end of the highway. We retreat back to the safe house, and when doing this, Laswell mentioned to us that the missiles that we seeked were never actually in Spain, but only the guidance systems were. But who were these guidance systems supplied by? Of course it was the Russians. Of course, there's a growing question throughout this entirety of an explanation. What do the Russians have to do with this, and how have they got all of this gear? Well, we're going to find that out very shortly. Now we move to Alejandro, Soap, Ghost and Graves. They're based in Al-Mazrah and have located a party which a multitude of VIPs within Al-Mazrah were going to that evening. The plan was to try and meet El Sin Hombre, the leader of the Mexican cartel, the nameless and the faceless leader. They're working directly with Hassan, so what better way to try and find out information on what he's planning and the location of these missiles than going straight to their leader. Soap volunteers and pushes forward to the compound. Soap is brought forward and into the house. The lift door opens and we meet the first cartel member, Diego. Diego escorts us into a room where we see a lady named Valeria, who looks to be interrogating 3 members of the Mexican army. Valeria is cautious at first, but eventually goes with it and sits Soap down on one of the 3 chairs. She begins with asking the first person what happened when they were attacked on the mountains, which was the opposite perspective to us earlier on. Obviously, the Mexican special forces that were infiltrating and pushing towards our location were on the payroll of the cartel, so this is why they're asking these questions. Diego and Valeria invite Soap upstairs after they'd got the information they were after and say they will speak with the boss and let us know their decision. We move to the top floor and use a snake cam under the door to find out who El Sin Hombre is. It turns out that Valeria is El Sin Hombre. However, we find out that Alejandro and Valeria actually know each other already. But how? It turns out that Valeria and Alejandro have known each other for a very, very long time, with Valeria being ex-military, working alongside Alejandro back in the day. Different squads, same unit. However, during one of Valeria's missions, her and her team were sent on a raid of the son of La Arana, the previous leader of the cartel. Valeria's team job was to essentially just to cordon off the city and to prevent any La Arana's forces in, to prevent any bloodshed. However, Valeria's team was his enforcers. They escorted him to an area that was far, far, far away from anyone else, and they killed him themselves, allowing Valeria to take his role as the leader of the Mexican drug cartel and as El Sin Hombre. So, why is Valeria helping Hassan? Why are the Mexican drug cartel helping Hassan? Well, as long as there's war and terror, there will be no war on drugs, meaning the Mexican drug cartel can work without any issues at all, and they can make heaps and heaps of money off of another country's war. So, really an extremely selfish and money-making scheme, and essentially working with terrorists provides them with insurance. So yeah, a very selfish way of looking at it, but it makes her money. That's essentially the reason why. Valeria says that she will tell us where to find the missiles, and once we have them, she will tell us the location of Hassan. However, the only caveat of that is that once we have this information, we must leave Al-Mazrah. Valeria gives us the coordinates of an oil rig which recently had a cargo ship anchored around 500 meters northwest of its location. Surveillance shows personnel moving a large container from the ship to the top of the oil rig. This container contains one of the missiles we're looking for. The same group gear up and push towards the oil rig. We push the oil rig and reach the missile. However, when we open the container, there's no controls in sight, just the missile. The controls for the missile were aboard the cargo ship that was no longer docked nearby and that was travelling in the treacherous waters heading far away from us. We infiltrate and board the cargo ship and push our way towards the deck. This is where the controls for the missile are all located. We find that the missile is too late to be disarmed, therefore we need to detonate it manually by overriding the course of the missile and changing it to somewhere else. We find that this missile was on course to hit New Orleans in the US. However, the course was changed to blow up and hit the oil rig that we had just left. We move back to Alejandro's base, and as we're about to infiltrate and walk inside, Graves essentially mentioned that he's decided to take the base for himself and Shadow Team. And apparently this was on the back of direct orders from General Shepard. General Shepard has given the orders for Shadow Company to detain all of Alejandro's men, and for Graves to take full control of all operations from here on out. Shadow Company attempt to capture Alejandro. However, Soap and Ghost leap into action and are not having any of it, killing multiple of Graves' men in the process. Soap and Ghost escape, with Alejandro not being so lucky and being taken into custody. Throughout the next series of missions, Graves is on the lookout for anyone Task Force 141, whilst also infiltrating the town of Al-Mazrah, killing all Mexican police situated there due to their ties with the Mexican drug cartel and Hassan. We make our way through these city streets, crafting different pieces of equipment to help us take down the armed guards. We manage to make our way through to the church, where Ghost is held up and waiting for us. We meet up with Ghost and hijack a pickup truck to try and get the hell out of Al-Mazrah. Alejandro gave the location of his safe house to Ghost just in case shit went down, and when we got there, there was Rodolfo. We forge a plan to rescue Alejandro, and that from this point onwards, Shepard, Graves, Laswell are all considered hostile until we know any better. Alejandro thought of everything and prepared very well for situations like this, crafting a large weapon stash within the safe house, along with an armoured vehicle towards the back. Graves is keeping Alejandro in a black site prison within solitary confinement, and it's our job to infiltrate the prison and free him. We were successful in doing this, and just as we were escaping and things were starting to get difficult, out comes Price and Gaz to come and save the day. So we regroup with Task Force 141, and Price mentions to us that Laswell has done a bit of digging into the reason why Shepard and Shadow Company did what they did. Laswell essentially uncovered some redacted intel relating to a Black Flag operation conducted by General Shepard and carried out by Shadow Company. They were transacting American-made ballistic missiles to our allies which were fighting Russian forces within the Middle East. This mission did not go as planned. It sounded as though some of the Shadow Company operators didn't have a clue either as to what they were actually transporting, with Graves calling it a milk run, and them potentially thinking that it's full of weaponry rather than a giant US missile. Within this mission, they were transporting 3 large containers, each containing a US missile. Reconnaissance said that the route that the Shadows were taking was clear of enemy activity and they would not encounter any issues. But this could not have been more wrong, even if they tried. The entire route of these missiles was known in advance by the Russian army, and eventually the Russian army infiltrated the Shadow Company, killed everyone there, and took the missiles for themselves. The Russians knew Shepard was behind these attacks as well, and he was trying to cover it up using Shadow Company. After finding this out, Price essentially calls General Shepard and confronts him on what's going on here. Shepard doesn't even try to hide this. He tells Price exactly how it is. He's trying to cover up his mess, and that's why Shadow Company turned the way they did. Price looks at Shepard in the eye and says that once he's done with Graves, that he's coming for him. The Los Alamos and the Task Force 141 team together to pursue the Shadow Company to find and kill Graves. And the crazy thing is that Ghost takes off his masks and replaces it with the one from like Modern Warfare 2 in 2009. The whole squad wears them, but Ghost's one is very, very similar to the one of 2009, and it just plays tribute to that earlier art style. It's really, really cool. We push forward in 2 teams. Gaz, Alejandro and Price all infiltrate a set of tunnels, whilst Ghost, Soap and Rodolfo make their way through the entrance in a vehicle. Ghost, Soap and Rodolfo push forward in a vehicle, waiting for air superiority from Captain Price to blow open the gates so they can go straight in. Price opens up the entrance and they push through to Graves' location, whilst Alejandro and Gaz are still working to capture Valeri, who is still locked up in her metal container somewhere inside of a hangar. Soap and Ghost get eyes on Graves, who begins to run into a training complex within this sort of compound, and when they try to move and catch him, Graves decides to take things to another level and bring a fucking tank to a gunfight. Luckily, this was a training area, and throughout the entirety of this area there were multiple crates full of C4 which we could use to destroy this tank. At that point, the tank blew up with Graves inside it, resulting in him to die. We all regrouped in this metal shipping container and spoke with Valeria. She knew all this time that there was a 3rd missile, and that Hassan has it, and that it was smuggled into the United States, specifically Chicago's dock. Hassan is located in a skyscraper within Chicago with the launch codes and ready to launch this missile. We have a task force ready and moving to the location of Hassan, along with others pushing for the missile. Laswell informs us that the missile is in the 1st stage, and the only way to disarm it is by utilising the controls, in which Hassan has control over. Hassan has the controls, which means there's only one way forward: kill Hassan and take them from him. We push further into the skyscraper and suddenly Laswell radios that the missile has launched. We can physically watch it launch and fly away towards its destination on screen. However, the location of its strike is still unknown at this time. Hassan is the main target right now to get the codes so we can redirect the missile. We attempt to use a snake camera under the door to the room that Hassan is located in. However, Hassan uses explosives to get the better of Task Force 141, shooting Price in the top right of the chest and him having to be dragged out of the way by Gaz. Soap and Gaz are tasked to go after Hassan and ascend down the skyscraper. However, an RPG blast completely obliterates the inside of the elevator lift, resulting in Soap to drop down through the hatch and onto Hassan. We both fall and are slightly dazed. However, we pick up the launch case and Hassan takes our weapon. We are fully surrounded at this point by Al-Qatala forces, and we need to get to a safe position to redirect this missile ASAP. When working to disarm, we found that Hassan was targeting Washington DC, specifically the Pentagon, and the redirection of the missile and the overall explosion of it was put down to a power surge by the US news, so it was completely covered up by the military and is like it never happened. However, as we try and find our way out of here and taking out any Al-Qatala forces in the firing line, we turn around and Hassan is there with an MP5 and shoots us in the stomach. Hassan drags Soap to the window of the skyscraper as Ghost overlooks his position. Hassan mentioned that Iran was invading the US, and that was the main goal for them. However, before Hassan could do anything to Soap, Ghost has Hassan in his sights, takes the shot, and Hassan is dead. The final cutscene between Price, Laswell and the rest of Task Force 141 is super interesting, and to be honest, it gets me super hyped for the next iteration of this trilogy, or just DLC coming next year. The first one being that Shepard is completely off the grid right now. No one's heard from him and nobody knows where he is, so potentially that could be one for DLC next year, as apparently we have a brand new full campaign coming out next year for this game, so that's also very interesting as well. Or it could just be a continuation for the Warzone DLC, but we'll have to see there. The second one, the Russians are working with someone new. The Zakhaevs are dead, so it can't be them. So who could it be? The task force pass around a photo of this new antagonist, or the new Russian leader, to which the team responds, he's not new. So who is it? Guys, it's fucking Makarov. Can you believe it? Makarov from Modern Warfare 3. And it makes so much sense. How did we not see this, man? How did we not see this? Fucking Makarov. Please, Infinity Ward, use the original voice actor. I beg, I beg, I beg, I beg. But it looks like Modern Warfare 3 is actually coming again. I'm so gassed. So gassed. However, this isn't the only thing we see here. The last cutscene is extremely interesting here.
Дамы и господа, наш самолет завершил набор высоты. Вы можете расстегнуть ремни.
Сейчас вам будет подан обед. Горячее вы можете выбрать в меню.
Beef, chicken, or fish, gentlemen?
Salads, please.
Nah, guys, this is a madness. I'm so fucking hyped. Look, this is literally the first day that this campaign has been out, and I already want DLC to come. Like, this is a madness. Makarov is such a good villain in the original trilogy. If they can make him anywhere near the character he was in that trilogy, in that Modern Warfare 3, oh my god, I'm going to be so gassed. But, guys, that is the campaign explained. Very, very interesting. I thought this was a really, really good campaign. I'm going to have a review coming out in the next couple of days when I've properly put some thoughts on paper and fully put the review together. But yeah, this has been a long video, guys. I really appreciate everyone sticking by. If you have, I've actually stayed up so late to do this, so I really hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, make sure you do drop a like. It'd be very much appreciated. I've lost so much sleep over this. Leave a like if you did enjoy, guys. Subscribe if you guys are brand new. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below on the campaign, and we'll see you all in the next one.